the heart of Benin City, nestled within the ancient walls and surrounded by the tales of valor and mystery. There existed a legend whispered among the elders. It was a story of a cursed treasure hidden deep within the bowers of the Oba's palace. This treasure, they said, held immense wealth and power, but was guarded by an ominous curse that had claimed the lives of many who sought it. Centuries ago, during the reign of the wise and revered Oba Eweka, the kingdom of Benin thrived. Oba Eweka was known not only for his leadership, but also for his foresight. He had amassed a treasure beyond imagination, gold, precious stone, and artifacts that shimmered like the stars. But with great wealth came great peril. Envious eyes from distant land cast their gaze upon Benin, yearning to plunder its riches. To protect the treasure, Oba Eweka consulted the kingdom's most powerful sorcerer, Osaze. Osaze, a man of pearls, devised a plan to safeguard the treasure. He invoked ancient spirits and cast a spell upon the riches, a curse so potent that only the purest of heart and the bravest of soul could withstand its wrath. The curse was simple yet deadly. Anyone who sought the treasure with greed in their heart would face unspeakable horrors. Their deepest fear would come to life, and they would be driven to madness, never to return. The treasure was hidden in a secret chamber beneath the palace, known only to the Oba and the most trusted advisor. Years turned into decade, and decade into centuries. The tale of the cursed treasure became a legend, a story told to children on stormy nights. Yet the allure of unimaginable wealth continued to beckon adventurers, explorers, and thieves from all corners of the world. One such adventurer was Ada, a young and daring archaeologist with a heart full of curiosity and a mind sharp as a blade. Ada spent years studying the history of Benin and has stumbled upon fragments of the treasure's legend. Unlike others, Ada was driven not by greed, but by a genuine passion for history and a desire to uncover the truth. Ada's journey to Benin City was fraught with challenges. She navigated dense jungles, crossed treacherous rivers, and faced numerous obstacles. But her determination never wavered. She believed that the treasure, if found, could reveal untold secrets about the ancient kingdom and its people. Upon reaching Benin City, Ada sought the guidance of the current Oba, who was a direct descendant of Oba Eweka. The Oba, impressed by Ada's sincerity and respect for their culture, granted her permission to search for the treasure, but warned her of the curse that protected it. Undeterred, Ada began her quest within the palace. She read ancient texts, pieced together old maps, and followed hidden clues. Her journey led her to a forgotten passage beneath the palace, a dark and winding tunnel that seemed to go on forever. With each step, the air grew colder, and silence enveloped her. Ada's resolve was tested as she faced vision of her worst fears. Ghostly appearance of fallen adventurers haunted her, their hollow eyes pleading for release. The walls of the tunnel seemed to close in, whispering secrets and warnings in the language long forgotten. Shadows danced, creating an atmosphere thick with tension and dread. Just as Ada felt the weight of the curse pressing down upon her, she stumbled upon an ancient inscription carved into the wall. It was a riddle, a final test of her wit and purity of heart. The inscription reads, "To those who seek with greed and lust, in shadows deep their soul shall rust, but those whose hearts are pure and bright shall find the truth and see the light." Ada pondered the riddle, her mind racing. She realized that the treasure's curse was not just a guard against theft, but a guardian of knowledge. The true treasure was the wisdom and history of the Benin Kingdom. With this revelation, Ada felt a surge of determination. She continued down the tunnel, her steps now guarded by a newfound clarity. Finally, Ada arrived at a massive door adorned with intricate carvings and symbols of protection. As she pushed the doors open, she was met with a blinding light. The chamber was filled with the fabled treasure, more magnificent than she had imagined. But among the riches, Ada found something even more valuable: ancient scrolls and artifacts that detailed the history, culture, and wisdom of the Benin Kingdom. Ada knew that this knowledge was the true treasure. She carefully documented everything and presented her findings to the Oba in a grand ceremony. The Oba and his people celebrated the unveiling of their rich heritage, and Ada was honored for her bravery and integrity. But the curse of the treasure was not yet fully lifted. As the celebration reached its peak, a sudden gust of wind extinguished, plunging the palace into darkness. A chilling voice echoed through the hall: "The curse is not broken until the true heir claims the throne." Ada and the Oba realized that the curse was tied to the royal lineage. The true heir, a descendant of Oba Eweka, had to claim the treasure. For the curse to be lifted, the current Oba revealed a secret. He had a long-lost son, born out of wedlock and hidden away to protect him from those who sought to harm the royal family. With time running out, Ada and the Oba embarked on a desperate search for the true heir. They followed a series of clues that led them to a remote village on the outskirts of Benin City. There they found Efe, a humble blacksmith who had no knowledge of his royal lineage. Efe was reluctant to accept his destiny, but Ada's unwavering belief in him and the Oba's heartfelt plea convinced him to return to the palace. As Efe approached the treasure's chamber, the curse's grip began to loosen. The spirits of the fallen adventurers appeared once more, this time offering their blessing. With a sense of desperation, Efe stepped into the chamber and touched the treasure. The curse was lifted in an explosion of light, and the spirits were finally at peace. The people of Benin City rejoiced. Their history and heritage was restored. Ada's legacy lived on, a reminder that true treasure lies not in gold and jewels, but in the preservation of history and the pursuit of knowledge. The tale of the cursed treasure of Benin City became a legend of bravery, wisdom, and the enduring power of truth. Have you ever imagined giving birth to twins? Meet the enchanted twins of Abeokuta. Listen to their story and let us know if you still feel the same about twins. In the ancient city of Abeokuta, nestled among the rolling hills and overshadowed by the majestic Olumo Rock, there lived a wise and revered old woman known as Iyagba. She was famed for her deep knowledge of ancient ways, her ability to commune with the spirits, and her mystical connection to the natural world. People from far and wide sought her counsel, for she had the gift of seeing into the future and unraveling the mysteries of the past. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the land, a heavily pregnant woman named Aduni approached Iyagba's humble hut. Aduni was the wife of the town's chief hunter, Adebayo, and she had been having strange dreams that filled her with unease. In her dream, she saw two identical children calling out for her from within a thick, enchanted forest. Iyagba listened as Aduni described her vision. Her wrinkled face, calm yet thoughtful. "These dreams are not to be taken lightly, my daughter," Iyagba said, her voice a whisper that seemed to echo within ancient power. "They speak of a powerful destiny, one that will shape the future of Abeokuta. The twins you see in your dream are no ordinary children. They are born of the spirit world, and their arrival will bring great change to our land." A few days later, on a night when the moon was full and the stars shone brightly in the sky, Aduni went into labor. The whole town held its breath as the cries of newborns echoed through the night. To the astonishment of all, Aduni gave birth to twin boys, each as radiant as the other, with eyes that sparkled like the stars. The news of the twins spread quickly through the town, and people came from far and near to catch a glimpse of the extraordinary children. The twins, named Taye and Kainde, were unlike any other children in the village. They possessed a mysterious aura, and wherever they went, strange and miraculous events seemed to follow. Crops that had withered under the harsh sun suddenly bloomed again. Sick animals were healed, and the village once dry river began to flow with crystal clear water. As the twins grew, it became clear that they possessed power beyond comprehension. Taye the elder, by mere minutes, had the ability to communicate with animals and command the elements. He could summon the rain to quench the earth thirst or calm a raging storm with a whisper. Kehinde the Younger had the gift of healing and could mend broken bones and cure the gravest of illness with a touch. Together, the twins were a force of nature, and the people of Abeokuta referred them as divine beings. But with great power came great responsibility, and the twins soon discovered that their gifts were coveted by those who sought to exploit them. A powerful sorcerer from a distant land, driven by greed and envy, learned of the twins' existence and plotted to steal their powers from them. Disguised as a wandering herbalist, the sorcerer arrived in Abeokuta, offering his services to the villagers. One day, the sorcerer approached the twins, offering them a rare herb that he claimed would enhance their powers even further. Innocent and trusting, Taye and Kehinde accepted the gift, unaware of the sorcerer's true intention. That night, as the twins slept, the sorcerer cast a dark spell that bound their powers, trapping them in a deep and enchanted slumber. The people of Abeokuta were devastated by the loss of their beloved twins. The land, once fertile and prosperous, began to wither, and a great drought descended upon the region. The skies, once blue, turned grey, and the once lush fields were now parched and cracked. The village elders, desperate to save their people, turned to Iyagba for guidance. The wise old woman, sensing the darkness that had befallen the twins, embarked on a perilous journey to the spirit world. For 7 days and 7 nights, she wandered through the realm of the spirit, seeking the help of the ancient beings who dwelled there. The paths were treacherous, filled with shadowy figures that whispered doom and despair. But Iyagba's resolve was unshaken, and at last she found the spirit of the forest, a mighty and benevolent entity who agreed to help her break the sorcerer's curse. With the spirit of the forest's blessing, Iyagba returned to the village. Together they sang ancient songs and performed rituals to awaken the twins and restore their powers. As their voices rose, the air around the twins shimmered with a golden light, and the curse began to break. But the sorcerer, sensing this power, unleashed a final act of vengeance. He summoned a dark storm and aimed it directly at the village. The sky blackened and the earth trembled as the storm drew closer, threatening to consume everything in its path. Just as the storm was about to strike, Taye and Kehinde awoke, their eyes glowing with a first unearthly light. They stood together, and with a single powerful incantation, they dispelled the storm, sending it back into the void from which it came. The sorcerer, realizing his defeat, was consumed by his own dark magic, his cries echoing into the night as he vanished into oblivion. The twins, now fully aware of the dangers that came with their gift, vowed to use their powers only for good. Under the guidance of Iyagba, Taye and Kehinde grew into wise and compassionate leaders. They brought prosperity and harmony to Abeokuta, ensuring that the land would never suffer again. The people of Abeokuta celebrated the twins not as children of the spirit world, but as guardians of their land, whose love and wisdom will be remembered for generations to come. And so the legend of the enchanted twins of Abeokuta lived on, a tale of power, responsibility, and the enduring strength of a community united in love and faith. The story was passed down through the ages, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light will always find a way to shine through.
On the desolate shores of Namibia, where the relentless desert meets the unforgiving Atlantic, lies the infamous Skeleton Coast, a place where the sands are littered with the remnants of lost ships and the bones of those who dared to cross its treacherous waters. Among the many tales whispered by the wind, none is more chilling than the legend of the ghost ship of the Skeleton Coast. Centuries ago, during the height of the age of exploration, a grand Portuguese galleon named Chao Perdido set sail from Lisbon, laden with treasures destined for the New World. Its captain, Dom Rodrigo da Silva, was a seasoned navigator with a heart as cold as the gold he sought. With a crew of the bravest men and the finest cargo, the Chao Perdido seemed destined for glory. However, fate had other plans. As the ship rounded the treacherous Cape of Good Hope, It was caught in a violent storm. The tempest tossed the galleon mercilessly, and Dom Rodrigo, despite his experience, could not escape the fury of the sea. The ship was blown off course, far from the familiar trade winds, and into the perilous waters of the skeleton coast. As the storm subsided, the crew found themselves lost in a fog so thick it seemed like the breath of death itself. The galleon drifted aimlessly until, with a sickening crunch, it ran aground on the unforgiving sands. The crew scrambled to salvage what they could, but the desert was as merciless as the sea. One by one, the men succumbed to thirst and despair, their bones bleaching in the relentless sun. Don Rodrigo, consumed by his failure, refused to leave the ship. He cursed the sea, the sands, and the heavens, swearing that he would guard his treasure for all eternity. As he gave his last breath, a strange calm fell over the land. The fog lifted, revealing the Sao Perdido standing eerily upright, its sails tattered but intact, as if waiting for the wind to carry it away once more. The years turned into decades, and the legend of the Sao Perdido became a ghost story whispered among sailors and passed down through generations. But the tale was not just a story, it was a warning. Despite the dire fate of those who had gone before, there were always those who sought to claim the treasures said to be hidden aboard the phantom ship. Among these was a man named Captain Diego Valdez, a ruthless and ambitious Spaniard with a reputation for defying the odds. He had heard the stories of the skeleton coast and the lost galleon, and unlike the others, he was not deterred. To him, the ghost ship was not a cursed relic, but a prize waiting to be claimed. Driven by greed and the promise of unimaginable wealth, he assembled a crew and set sail for the dreaded coast. As they approached the skeleton coast, the air grew heavy with an unnatural stillness. The waves seemed to pull back, as if the ocean itself feared the shores they were nearing. Captain Valdez stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the horizon, where the fog began to thicken like a shroud. The crew, seasoned and fearless, began to whisper among themselves, their confidence waning in the face of the ominous silence that surrounded them. Then, as if summoned by their dread, the ghostly outline of the Sao Perdido appeared through the mist. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The galleon looked untouched by time, its wooden hull gleaming faintly in the dim light. But there was something wrong, something otherworldly about the way it seemed to hover above the water, anchored not by chains, but by the will of the dead. Captain Valdez, undeterred, ordered his men to row out to the ghostly ship. As they neared, the air grew colder, and the fog seemed to close in around them, muffling the sounds of the ocean and the creaking of their own vessel. The closer they got, the more they could see, the tattered sails fluttering in a wind that did not exist, the broken masts standing like skeletal fingers pointing to the heavens, and the deck eerily deserted, yet filled with a presence that made the hair on their necks stand on end. When they finally boarded the ghost ship, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of decay and something far worse, fear. The crew, hardened pirates and mercenaries, found themselves trembling, their bravado fading with each step they took on the cursed wood. It was as if the ship was alive, breathing with the souls trapped within, watching them with unseen eyes. Captain Valdez led them to the captain's cabin, where he believed the treasure was hidden. The door creaked open, revealing a room untouched by time, yet filled with a heavy darkness. In the center of the room stood a chest, adorned with gold and jewels, the very treasure that had lured so many to their doom. Valdez's eyes gleamed with greed as he approached, his fingers itching to open the lid. As he touched the chest, the air around him grew icy, and the shadows seemed to move. From the corners of the room, ghostly figures began to emerge, the spectral forms of Don Rodrigo and his crew, their eyes hollow with an eternal rage. The crew of the ghost ship had risen to protect their treasure, bound by the curse that had claimed their lives. Panic seized Valdez's men as they tried to flee, but the ship would not let them go. The very wood beneath their feet seemed to shift and twist, trapping them in a labyrinth of horror. Valdez, clutching the chest, found himself face to face with the ghost of Don Rodrigo, whose voice echoed with the fury of the damned. "You have come to steal what is not yours," Don Rodrigo hissed, his voice like the wind howling through a graveyard. "But you will find no fortune here, only death." With that, the chest burst open, revealing not gold, but the rotting remains of those who had sought the treasure before. The sight drove Valdez to madness, and as he screamed, the ship began to sink, pulling him and his crew down into the depths of the skeleton coast sands. The next morning, when the fog lifted, there was neither trace of the ghost ship nor Valdez's ship. The skeleton coast had claimed them both, as it had so many before, but the legend did not end there. Sailors who ventured near the coast swore they could still hear the cries of the damned carried on the wind, and on nights when the moon was full, the ghostly galleon could be seen sailing along the horizon, its crew eternally searching for peace they would never find. To this day, the ghost ship of the skeletal coast remains a mystery, a story of greed, betrayal, and a curse that binds the soul of the lost. It serves as a reminder that some treasures are not meant to be claimed, and some places are best left undisturbed, lest the past reach out with ghostly hands to drag the living into the realm of the dead.
In the bustling city of Ibadan, where modernity meets tradition, there exists an ancient legend that sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. This is the tale of the ghostly drummers of Ibadan, a story whispered from generation to generation, a tale of spirits and rhythms that echo through the night. In the heart of Ibadan, there was a market square known as Ojaoba. It was a place of vibrant life during the day, with traders selling their wares, children playing, and elders sharing stories under the shade of old trees. But as dusk fell, the atmosphere of the market changed. The laughter of children and the chatter of traders gave way to an eerie silence, and a strange, almost supernatural mist would envelop the square. It was said that on certain nights, when the moon was full and the stars shone brightly, the spirits of ancient drummers would return to the market square. These were no ordinary drummers, they were the spirits of master drummers who had once played for the great elephant of Oyo. Their drumming had the power to summon the spirits of the ancestors, to bring rain, and to heal the sick. They were revered and feared in equal measure. Many years ago, during the reign of Alafin Sango, a great festival was held in Ibadan. Drummers from all over the Yoruba land were invited to perform. Among them were the finest drummers of the Alafin's court, known for their unparalleled skill and their deep connection to the spirit world. Their performance was the highlight of the festival, a symphony of rhythm and power that left the audience in awe. However, their fame attracted jealousy and anger from other drummers, who conspired to end their reign. One night, after a particularly breathtaking performance, the master drummers were ambushed and killed by their rivals. Their bodies were buried in the market square, and it was said that their spirits never found peace. Since that night, strange things began to happen in Ojaoba. People spoke of hearing drumming in the dead of night, rhythms so hauntingly beautiful that they could not be of this world. Some claimed to see ghostly figures, drumming with such intensity that the very ground seemed to tremble. It was said that the spirits of the master drummers were seeking revenge, their rhythms a call to the ancestors to bring justice. Among those who lived near the market was a young girl named Ife. She was known for her curiosity and her love for stories of the old days. Her grandmother, Aya Agba, was the keeper of many such tales, and it was from her that Ife learned of the ghostly drummers. Despite her grandmother's warnings, Ife was determined to uncover the truth behind the legend. One night, when the moon was full and the mist thick over the market square, Ife decided to investigate. She waited until her family was asleep, then quietly slipped out of the house and made her way to Ojaoba. The air was cool and still, and an eerie silence hung over the square. As she approached, she could hear it, the faint sound of drumming, growing louder with each step. Ife hid behind a stall, her heart pounding in her chest. The drumming was unlike anything she had ever heard, a complex weave of rhythms that seemed to speak to her soul. Suddenly, she saw them, ghostly figures draped in traditional attire, their hands moving deftly over invisible drums. Their faces were solemn, their eyes closed as if lost in their music. Mesmerized, Ife stepped out of her hiding place. The drummers continued their performance, seemingly unaware of her presence. She watched in awe, the beauty of their rhythms mingling with the sorrow of their plight. Unable to contain herself, she called out, "Why do you drum, spirits of the night? What is it that you seek?" To her astonishment, the drumming ceased, and the ghostly figures turned to face her. The leader of the drummers, a tall figure with an air of authority, stepped forward. His voice was deep and resonant, carrying the weight of ages. "We drum to honor our master, to call upon the ancestors, and to seek justice for our untimely deaths. Our spirits cannot rest until the wrongs done to us are righted." Moved by their plight, Ife vowed to help. "Tell me how I can bring you peace," she said. The leader of the drummers handed her a small, intricately carved drum. "Take this drum," he said. "Play it in the presence of the Alafin. Only he can command the spirits to rest." Determined to fulfill her promise, Ife set off the next day for the palace. The journey was long and arduous, but her resolve never wavered. When she finally reached the palace, she was granted an audience with the Alafin. She recounted her encounter with the ghostly drummers and their request. The Alafin, moved by her bravery and the tale of the master drummers, agreed to help. He ordered a grand ceremony to be held in Oja-Oba, where he would personally play the sacred drum and command the spirits to rest. The night of the ceremony was filled with anticipation. The market square was thronged with people eager to witness the historic event. As the Alafin began to play the drum, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. The ghostly drummers appeared once more, their faces serene. They joined in the rhythm, their spirits lifted by the honor bestowed upon them. The Alafin's drumming grew in intensity, a powerful command to the spirit world. With a final, thunderous beat, the drumming ceased, and a profound silence fell over the square. The ghostly figures slowly faded, their expressions peaceful. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Ife felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The spirits of the master drummers had finally found peace, and the legend of the ghostly drummers of Abadan would be remembered for generations to come. And so, the market square of Oja-Oba returned to its bustling life, but the memory of that night remained. The story of Ife and the ghostly drummers became a cherished tale, a reminder of the power of justice, the importance of honoring the past, and the enduring legacy of those who came before. In the heart of Ekiti, where the land is green and the air is thick with the scent of earth and foliage, lies a forest known to the locals as the Whispering Forest. For generations, the people of Ekiti had spoken of the strange occurrences within the forest, where the trees seemed to have a life of their own and the winds carried voices from a time long past. The legend begins with Abani, a young and curious girl from a nearby village. Abani had always been drawn to the forest, enchanted by its beauty and mystery. Despite the warnings from the elders, who told tales of people entering the forest never to return, Abani felt an irresistible pull towards it. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a deep shade of purple, Abani ventured into the forest. She wandered deeper and deeper, the whispers of the trees growing louder with each step. The forest seemed to come alive around her, the leaves rustled as if in conversation, and the branches swayed gently, guiding her path. After what felt like hours, Abani stumbled upon a clearing bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight. In the center stood a magnificent tree, far larger and older than any she had ever seen. Its bark was silver, and its leaves shimmered like emeralds. As Abani approached, she could hear the whispers more clearly. They were telling a story. The tree, known as the Elder Tree, began to speak directly to Abani. It told her of a time when the forest was a sanctuary for the spirits of Ekiti. These spirits, the guardians of the land, had protected the villagers and ensured their prosperity. But as time passed, the people grew distant from the forest, forgetting the old ways and the spirits who watched over them. The Elder Tree revealed that Abani was chosen to restore the bond between the villagers and the forest. She was to carry a sacred seed back to her village and plant it in the center of the village square. This seed would grow into a new tree, a bridge between the people and the spirits. Abani accepted the task with humility and reverence. The Elder Tree gifted her the seed, and as she took it into her hands, she felt a surge of warmth and energy. The whispers of the forest grew softer, as if bidding her farewell and good luck. Abani made her way back to the village with the sacred seed, the path illuminated by the gentle glow of fireflies. When she returned, she was met with astonishment and curiosity. The villagers gathered around as she recounted her journey and the message from the elder tree. Together, they planted the seed in the village square. Over the days and weeks that followed, the seed sprouted and grew into a young sapling. The villagers tended to it with care, and soon it began to flourish, its presence bringing a renewed sense of harmony and prosperity to the village. As the bond between the villagers and the forest was restored, the whispers of the trees turned to songs of joy. The spirits of the forest, now at peace, continued to watch over Ekiti. The whispering forest became a place of pilgrimage, where people came to seek wisdom and guidance from the ancient trees. Abony's bravery and the villagers' newfound respect for the forest ensured that the legends of the whispering forest would be passed down through the generations, a testament to the power of nature and the importance of remembering one's roots. One night, several months after the seed had been planted, a fierce storm rolled into Ekiti. Thunder boomed across the skies, and lightning flashed like celestial swords. The villagers huddled in their homes, fearful of the tempest's wrath. Amid the chaos, a chilling wail echoed through the village, emanating from the direction of the young tree. Abony, braver than most, rushed out into the storm. The rain lashed against her skin, and the wind howled in her ears, but she pressed on, driven by a sense of urgency she couldn't explain. As she approached the tree, she saw something extraordinary. The sapling was glowing, its leaves shimmering with an ethereal light. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and the whispers returned, but this time they were frantic and filled with distress. Abony could feel the fear of the spirits, their desperation reaching out to her. The elder tree's voice broke through the cacophony. "Abony, the bond is in peril. The storm is no ordinary storm, it is the work of a malevolent spirit that seeks to sever our connection." Determined to protect the tree and the spirits, Abony knew she had to act quickly. She recalled the stories of old, tales of protective charms and rituals that could ward off evil. Without hesitation, she raced back to her grandmother's hut, where ancient relics and scrolls lay undisturbed. Her grandmother, a wise and revered woman, had once been the village shaman. She had taught Abony many things, but there was one ritual in particular that stood out, the ritual of the guardian. Abony rummaged through the scrolls, her heart pounding as the storm raged on. Finally, she found the one she was looking for. With the scroll in hand, Abony gathered the necessary items: a silver feather, a vial of river water, and a piece of obsidian. She returned to the tree, her resolve as fierce as the storm itself. Kneeling before the glowing sapling, she began to chant the ancient words, her voice steady and strong. The silver feather was placed at the base of the tree, symbolizing purity and protection. The vial of river water was poured over the roots, representing life and renewal. Finally, the piece of obsidian was buried beside the tree, signifying strength and warding off evil. As Abony completed the ritual, the ground beneath her feet steadied, and the whispers grew calm. The glow of the sapling intensified, creating a protective barrier around it. The malevolent spirit, sensing its power was being thwarted, let out a final, furious wail before dissipating into the night. The storm gradually subsided, the thunder rolling away like a distant drumbeat. The villagers emerged from their homes, awestruck by the sight before them. The young tree stood tall and resilient, its leaves glistening with the remnants of the storm's fury. Abony, exhausted but triumphant, knew that the bond between the villagers and the forest had been tested and strengthened. The whispering forest spirits were safe, and their connection to the people of Ekiti was more profound than ever. The villagers, now fully aware of the importance of their relationship with the forest, vowed to honor and protect it for generations to come. The tale of Abony and the whispering forest became a cornerstone of Ekiti folklore. Songs were sung, and stories were told of the brave girl who faced a storm and saved her village. The forest, ever watchful, continued to whisper its ancient secrets to those who listened, a living testament to the enduring bond between nature and humankind. And so, the legend of the whispering forest of Ekiti lived on, a reminder of the power of courage, the strength of community, and the magic that exists when we honor the world around us.